grateful to be here with all of you today, and we are also grateful to this particular vessel in which we are using for. She was not feeling good today, but has decided to be here with all of you in despite of that, and we will be working on her energetic field to support her body during this process. For we are here because we are delighted that so many of you are engaging and are connecting with our energy and doing all of your own work on your own on so many levels. For the vibration of the consciousness of the beings that are connecting in here right now is extraordinary high, and we are very honored to be here with all of you today. For it is of the utmost importance right now to be diligent in your work around your stillness and your meditation, for it is that you are moving quite quickly through a transition period on the earth. And of course, this is of no big surprise, for all you need to do is to turn on perhaps your news media, which of course we always encourage you to disconnect from. But as you are tuning into the collective consciousness, you can see that there is a lot of what might be called drama or dysfunction occurring. And we want to talk to you about that for a moment, because each and every one of you that are here right now on earth, and any being on earth at any particular moment in time, in history, and in the linear formation of being, is here because there was a choice to do that. And we want to sometimes just give you a little update or a reminder as to your wanting to be here and your need to be here, because it is that as you sat with us, and you might think of us as a council of light or the angelic realm or source itself, but as you sat in that energy of unconditional love, that space, before you felt a calling to separate from it and to begin to drop into form and drop into matter and drop into the vessel that you're in right now, that you're so caught in with the name and the identity of who you are that sometimes you forget of the vastness of your being. That when you were there, you chose in a written form is the best way to describe it, although it's not exactly like that, but it's hard to describe with the words that we have in this language from where it is that you are sitting, to be at a certain point in history. And you have chosen, what is it? And it is that you have chosen to be here right now. And in doing so, you had to come through a triangle, in a sense, that's upside down, in a sense where you funneled all of your energy, like funneling something down and pouring it into the vessel. And so right now you have got all of this energy sitting in your vessel, and this is who it is that you are. But although that you have a connection to the physical body and the physiology of the body, there is this understanding that it is very complicated. If you are to tune into your heart and your cells and your tissue and your organs and your blood and your nervous system and your brain and all of those things, the complexity is beyond words. But the complexity of your energetic system is just as complex, or even more so. And it is from our perspective, when we look at all of you, we see all of these systems. And these systems are connected to all types of things that you remained connected to when you came into form to be born, as you've moved through all the different dimensions. And so, of course, you have a chord, and we're going to talk about chords today, because there is, and we'll use the word core, there is a chord that connects you to source. And that source is at the top of the section of the apex of the triangle. And as it begins to come in like this, that it begins to thin, but it connects to the crown of your head. Just like when you're born, there's that space there, right, open at the top of your head. That's where the source energy is connecting and coming in, and then it closes. And as it does that, you have this connection, and you might think of it as a cord or a string to source. And what's happening now is your ability to have more access to that cord of source energy. It's widening because your vibrational frequency is rising, and as it rises, it widens as you begin to have more and more deeper connection to what it is that you already are, where you're not so focused on the third dimension. Now, when you came in, you had other chords that got connected to so many different aspects. For there's a connection to the collective agreement of consciousness. And you have a chord that connects you as an individual to that collective consciousness that you all agreed upon when you came through the birth canal. And you came out, you agreed upon that what the collective belief systems were on the plane in which you are existing here in the third dimension known as Earth. Now, in addition to that, you began to form cords to your birth mother, to your birth father, to your siblings, and to the pod of your beings that are your soul pod, in which you agreed upon in your contract to interact with mainly, that is your core. And those cords are very, very strong. So the cord to the collective consciousness and the cord to your own individual pod system, sometimes called a constellation family unit, is also very strong. Then as you move through time and space in your journey in the human form, you create other cords that may be connected to a colleague or to a teacher or to an institution or to a political system or to a thought form or to a belief. And then you've got your cords to other lifetimes, and then you've got your cords to your ancestors, and all the way back to the beginning of time and to what you may associate with in terms of your lineage, whether you come from a certain geographical location on Earth. And then you've got your cords related to the star systems. Many of you relate to being a star seed, to a light worker, to Sirius, to the Pleiadians, and so on. And so you are this sphere of an orb of light. You know, sometimes when you talk about orbs or you take your pictures with your camera and you can see the orbs, those are beings that are not in a vessel, but that's the formation of the essence of who you are. And so when we are looking at you from our perspective, from the angelic realm, we see you as these beautiful orbs of light dancing around. But inside them is an intricate system of wires, in a sense, like telephone cords, you might want to think of it, or systems that are very intricate, moving all around. And these are all of your cords that are connected to everything. And sometimes you already know on many levels, conscious and unconscious of this, because you'll use words like, I've got to cut the tie with that person, or I'm tied down to that job, or there's always a string attached to something, or I'm entangled with them. That's when the cords are all tangled up, because your vessel and their vessel are so entangled that your cords literally are twisted. When your cords are twisted and entangled in a codependent relationship, that can cause a lot of disease in the body. Now, there are also in that sphere, there can be holes where other cords that you are not even conscious of, or not even necessarily in your sphere of influence within your orb, can start to form or attach themselves to you, because you have you've got it's like a fabric around you, right? In the source of energy of orb that you are, and sometimes things seep through and holes get torn during trauma or upset, or a sense of your empowerment is lessened, or your boundaries are down. And so it can be quite complicated, and there's a lot going on, just like there's so much going on in the body. But just like you don't have to think about making your heart beat or your brain working necessarily, right? It's all kind of happening on its own. There's an innate life force that is supporting the mechanisms of this occurring without anything that you are having to do, because you're connected, you're plugged into source, and that source life force energy is operating and moving everything internally. Well, it's also operating everything and connecting and working with everything in your etheric body. And your etheric body is going to become more and more obvious, more and more prevalent, more and more something in your focus of understanding, because as you clean it and clear it up, it projects and it becomes a representation of the physical body in the emotional and the mental and the spiritual sense. And so as you're moving into fifth dimensional consciousness and moving out of separation consciousness, your ability to open your third eye, to open your pineal gland, to have more access to intuitive knowing, to synchronicity, to understanding, and even to seeing the energetic cords between you and others become stronger. And that's why so many of you are so sensitive when you go to a big shopping mall, or you go to a place where there's a lot of people, or somebody comes into your experience and they're draining, or they're a sucker, and you say, oh, they're sucking my energy, or their vibration is so low I can barely breathe in their presence, right? Those beings have a low frequency in which they have found somewhere in your field a space where they are wanting your light because they are depleted. And it's not necessarily a negative thing or a malicious thing, but they're pulling on your light. And so having a clean etheric field is just as important as having or brushing your teeth every day. It's essential, and yet it is not taught to you. You don't learn about it in school. You don't pay attention to it, and you just go about your life. But when you have entangled cords or toxic cords that are filled with darkness, which is that we don't want to say darkness in that there's something negative, because anything that's coming into your field or attaching to you is there because you're vibrating somewhere still in your being that is allowing it. So you're never a victim, and that's very important. You're never a victim in a relationship with another, even if in the context of how you might want to perceive it, because of the way that society shows you that you are, that you're still operating from being a victim or a martyr, and that paradigm is collapsing, because you are somewhere vibrating still in your frequency that is allowing for that match to occur, for a lesson or a growth or an evolution of spirit and soul to occur. Very basic. You all know that already, but sometimes you forget that, and you hold up your victim card and say, oh, well, it is that I'm a victim because that person has attached their negative energy to me. Well, your boundaries are not up. You're not in your power, and you're vibrating somewhere that is allowing them on some level. And so you need to clean that up. So what we are wanting to do today is a little house cleaning, but not just some house cleaning in terms of cords that you may have connected to family members, or entangled cords, or strings attached, or feeling tied or stuck to a job or an idea or a thought form. But more importantly, and we will do that, we're wanting to work on cutting the cord to the old paradigm of the collective consciousness. Because it is the collective consciousness, as you turn on your news, is collapsing, right? The paradigm of separation and division of power structure is dissolving. Now, it might show itself in all different ways, and it's going to keep rising up as we keep talking about that and showing its head, because what's happening is that you are unplugging from it. You're pulling your cord out from those agreements. And as you pull them out, they have to fall or collapse and dissolve. And as they collapse and dissolve, a lot of them continue to hold on because they don't like that idea, because that means they're dying. And so when someone is dying, often they will grip on to life and they will do anything to survive. It is an instinct. So the instinct of the collective consciousness right now is in what you might call survival mode. But nonetheless, it is a dying beast. It is no longer the paradigm in which future generations will be operating from. It is dissolving, and you are witnessing the dissolving of it. And so what's happening is we're wanting you to turn your attention to plugging your cord in energetically and literally attaching it to the new earth, to the new paradigm. And in order to do that, you want to put your energy and your focus and your attention on what it is that earth looks like. what's happening there. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? So that you're attaching literally to it, like a suction cup onto it, and you're severing or cutting the cord to the old paradigm. So we from the angelic realm are delighted to be here with all of you today, because as more and more beings make a conscious decision across Mother Earth to sever the toxic cord or ties to the old paradigm of being that is no longer serving the collective, then it begins to have an easier transition in dying off. And you all start to turn your attention and your energy toward the new earth, and you start to plug into what it is that you're wanting to create without putting your energy or focus in on this drama. When you're attaching to all the drama that's unfolding right now and thinking about it and talking about it and carrying on about it, you are keeping it alive. And so you know that, but somehow it's addicting, right? There's something almost fun about it, about engaging in the drama. It's part of the human curiosity. But it is that as the high vibrational beings that you are, we are calling upon you from the angelic realm and the divine beings that have a larger aspect of self connected to or corded into that source energy of that remembering of love, that you are wanting to put your energy and your attention over here and to focus and plug into the new earth. So when we look down upon the planet from our perspective or bird's eye view, and we zoom out and we see, what we see is the collapsing of the old as it's beginning to fold in and on itself. And we see the expanding and the growing of the new, and the spike in the collective consciousness, the spike in the rise of the love that's coming up. So we encourage you, as we always do, to unplug from the media, to unplug from the collective consciousness that was created in a paradigm that is no longer serving the whole. So not only are you unplugging from source that keeps giving you that information that ties you to the old, but we want you to unplug from it in your own energetic and etheric body. So your body from your solar plexus has a cord of energy that is coming out and it is hooked in to this ball of light, and this is the collective consciousness. And it's coming from the solar plexus because the current collective consciousness is still based in hierarchy, domination, and power. That's why it's connected to your solar plexus. Now, the new consciousness that you're going to be connecting to is connected from the heart, because it's based in unity, it's based in intuition, it's based in the idea of oneness, right? The unity consciousness. So we've got to literally sever the tie or unplug the switchboard from the collective in the solar plexus and plug in from the heart center into the new earth system. And as beings all over the planet, billions and billions in different ways begin to plug their plug or their cord into the new collective agreement of unity consciousness, and they all start to plug in, then it will light up and it will become, in the holographic field of your reality, the new reality. And the old collective that you've unplugged from will have no power, have no source energy to stay alive. It can only stay alive, the old paradigm, if you're giving it source energy. And where does it get its source energy? From you giving it attention or being plugged into it. So you're unplugging and you're replugging. So we want to do that today in a meditation. We want to collectively have you all begin to unplug and sever the ties and then plug into the new collective. Now, on a personal level, you also are plugged into all different relationships and situations. Now, there are endless ones and many in your ancestors that create belief systems, and those belief systems can sometimes get in the way of opening the cord for the creation of what you might be wanting to create. However, that's quite a process to do. But what we can do today is begin to tune in and tap in to any relationship that you want to choose. So you might want to begin to think of one that might be toxic, or you may be enabled in, or there may be entanglement, or you feel there's strings attached, or that you're tied to, or that is sucking you. Any of those types of relationships that you may have in your life, whether the person is alive or they are dead, where there has been energy that has not been cleared, is then a cord that is connected between you and between them. And inside that cord, when it is healthy, when you have a healthy cord with someone, the energy is flowing like a beautiful river, and it flows toward them, and it sends it in their light, and then the energy flows back, and it's flowing like this, back and forth. Now, when the relationship is based in vibrations that are not in that alignment, they can be what you might call toxic, where there is trauma, or there drama, or there could be deceit, or there can be betrayal, so many different things. Then when we see it from our perspective, those cords can look thorny, or they can be filled with mucus, or they can be filled with tar. And when that happens, not only is it affecting you on a personal level and your energy level and your health and your mental and emotional state and what you want to create, but it also is affecting the other person, of course. And it's also affecting the collective, because when you come into a room with another being who has a lot of thorny cords in their own personal relationships attached to you, they become what you might call a toxic person. I can't be in a room with that person, they're so toxic, or there's always so much drama, or they're always complaining, or that person is so difficult, whatever it may be. Often it is that they have a lot of cords that need cleaning up. So today would be a great day to clean one cord in one particular relationship that you might have with someone, and to get that beautiful flow of golden river light flowing between your heart center. So we're going to go in now to an activation, which I'm going to be calling upon my dear friend Archangel Michael as he's starting to come in now and to arrive. We're also going to call upon Saint Germain, utilizing his beautiful violet flame of transmutation. And we're calling in Sekhmet to come in with her power and strength. And we're calling upon the Divine Mother, because she is very interested in supporting all of you and collecting your ability to create a cord from her womb to the womb of Mother Earth as they merge together in unity and love, and you begin to become a child of the new earth. So we want you all to just take a moment to drop down into your being, to put away any distracting things that you might be looking at or distracted from, and see if you can just be present right here and now, because this is an important thing to do right now. This is very important. So just see if you can drop into your breath, into the presence of this now moment here, with all the beings on the call, and with myself, and with the other ascended masters that are starting to come in. They're coming into the room now, and they're coming in where all of you are as they begin to engage, because they are very invested in this process. We are wanting you all to put your hands on your belly button. And as you put your hands and you place them there, I want you to tune into the remembering of being inside your mother's womb, where you were comforted, floating around, nothing to worry about. You were just being in the presence of the now. And as you lay there in her womb, you know that you had a cord, an umbilical cord, and this cord connected you to her. And this cord gave you nourishment and love, and it supported you in growing to become who it is that you are now. We want you to imagine now that you have reached 9 months and you're beginning to get a little antsy and ready to meet the world. And as you drop your head down, or whatever part you came out, whichever way, toward the entrance into the earth, I want you to just tune in now for a moment as you're coming into the earth. You might feel the cold air or something cold beneath you, the tin or the plastic gloves of the surgeon. You might feel the beating heart as you start to be placed on your mother, or a blanket around you. You don't know what your process was, but you remember that air and that breath that you took. I want you to tune into feeling that cord that was connected between you and your mother. And as you came out, it was severed and it was cut. And as it was cut, a flood of energy came toward you. And as this energy came all the way in and toward you, it plugged in to that space in your belly button. And it hooked onto you. And it started to feed you information about Earth, about what the rules were on Earth and what happens here, what's expected of you, what you're going to do on Earth, why you came. And you also learned about joy and family and connection and playfulness and creativity. But as you were flooded with information about the rules of Earth, and they kept coming into your solar plexus and creating a cord, they also showed you that Earth had pain and war, poverty, scarcity, that you had to work very hard, that you wouldn't always be loved, that you could be abandoned, that you could feel less than somebody else, that others were more important than you, that there were powers that be that told you what to do, that life could be hard, that you weren't good at learning. Perhaps it told you you weren't creative, that you weren't good enough, that the way that you thought was not the same as others, that you were wrong. And all these belief systems started to flood in, that there were countries, that people owned things, that some people had better things than others, and that there was racism, that people were hungry. All these knowings came in, and you said, all right, well, that's the game that I'm going to play, and I've agreed to the rules. These are the rules of the game of Earth, and this is what happens here. There is the good and the bad, the up and the down, the light and the dark, the beauty of the sunset, and of the ocean and of the birds, and I get to enjoy the 5 senses, but I also, what comes with it is a consciousness that believes in separation, But I agree to all that because that's the vibration of the consciousness that is, and I am connected to those rules and I abide by them. And so that cord was connected to you for better or worse, part of the third dimensional human experience. And you went out into the world and you had your journey and you moved through time and space, experiencing ups and downs, love and separation, pain and beauty, all the things that come with the human experience. And as you move through time and space, you began to hit a point, and that point is now. And what's happening now is that enough light children, crystal beings from higher source systems that have larger connections to source are coming into the planet. And as they come in, they are plugging in when they are born to the new earth. All the new children that are being born today, that are coming out and taking their first breath, are receiving the codes of agreement, and they are plugging in to the new earth. And because of that, the children now have created a new consciousness, a new collective agreement, and a new earth. And all you have to do now is sever your ties to your old system and turn to the children and see the crystalline cord of light that they created and plug into theirs. This is the new earth of unity consciousness and of love, unconditional love, and healing. It is the divine feminine energy. It is the next octave in the vibrational connection on earth. It is the next level in which you're all moving to. So we want you now to invite Archangel Michael to come in. And he's going to come in very, very close to you. As you start to feel his presence, he's going to take his sword of light and he's going to move it, and you can do this with your own hand from your forehead, very close to your body, all the way down as he is cutting the cord now to the old collective belief system of separation. And as your hand and the sword comes down toward the belly button, you're going to feel a heaviness there, and you may need to cut it a few times. Just keep cutting it and cutting it, and as it's cut, you're going to feel a release as all the energy goes back to source. And now we want you to turn your body or your attention to where you see these little children glistening in the light. They're the crystalline children and the new babies. And they have formed a new collective consciousness. It's like a city of light, and it is glistening. And as you start to feel it and tap into it, we want you to notice it. And as you notice it, and you turn toward it, you want to be invited, and you want to ask, may I connect into your consciousness? May I connect into the fifth dimensional new earth? And as you ask, you shall receive. I want you to feel that beautiful golden shimmering light moving toward you. And as it moves toward you, it's beginning to now connect and attach itself to your belly button, to the new consciousness. And as it connects itself, it's going to begin to expand and expand as you are sitting inside the new earth, the fifth dimensional frequency of unity and love. and it is shimmering with crystals and sparkling light. And the little children are playing and dancing, and the butterflies are all around you as the flowers are blooming, and you are feeling joyful and playful and dancing, and the oceans are clean, and the dolphins are swimming, and the forest is thriving, and the animal kingdom is full, and the food is plentiful. And you see the divine in each and every person, and they are sitting now collectively connected to this new earth, and you are busy little bees working and connecting and creating it and making it full and preparing it not only for more of the children coming in, but for anyone who chooses to disconnect from the old and to plug into it. You're opening a doorway for them. And so now that you are here, I want you to just bask in it and become familiar with what it's like to be in the fifth dimension. What is it like to live in this new consciousness that you're all agreeing upon and that you're all living in? Now we're going to put this beautiful sphere of gorgeous golden light over to the side and just let it sit there so that you can drop into and connect to it and be with it, because you are in it anytime you are wanting. And we want you to turn your attention to your own life where you are right now and see if there's any cords that are still connecting you to the old paradigm that might be a connection to any relationship that is toxic. We want to sever that so that you're not feeling pulled back into the old agreements. And you can keep doing this until you feel it is fully severed and that you are always immersed in living in the fifth dimension. So drop in now for a moment where you are and ask, is there anything still tethering you to the old collective? Any relationship that you want to clean up? And if there is someone, we want to just to invite them in now. And you are sitting in a beautiful light. And you now ask them to come and sit with you. They're going to sit in front of you. And as they sit down, I want you to know that you are talking now to their highest self, not to their human self, but to the highest aspect of who they are without personality. And as you tune into them, I want you to connect all of your chakras to theirs. You might want to connect your crown to them. See a cord of light moving across into their crown, and from your third eye to theirs, and from your throat to theirs, and from your heart to theirs, and from your solar plexus to theirs, and to your sacral to them, and from your root to them. And as you connect, just start to tune in and notice. Is it flowing like a beautiful river? Or is there anything in the way? Is there something you want to tell them about how you're feeling, that you're hurt, or that they hurt you? Is there something you want to share with them? Take a moment and tune in. Now tune into each center and see if there's anything thorny or tarry or mucousy. And if you are willing, you're going to give that back to them. We're calling in Archangel Michael now as he's swooping into where you are. And he sees you sitting in that beautiful sphere of light, connected to this being. And he sees old patterns and toxic relationships and ways of communicating and connecting that are no longer serving either of you. And with your permission and theirs, he's going to come in now, his gorgeous sword of unconditional love at the top of the crown, and he's going to cut and sever it at the crown and at the third eye and at your throat and at your heart and at your solar plexus and at your sacral and at your root. And you're going to feel a flood of power and energy come back into your body. Anything they were sucking from you is being now returned into you as you're being flooded with energy and light. As you take back your power and you take back your sovereignty, all of that energy returns to you. And now all of the energy that was connected, that they were giving to you, goes back to them, or that you are taking, and they're pulling it in now. And you are both separated as sovereign divine beings that are whole in your own selves. And now Mother Mary's coming in and placing a beautiful golden light and a beautiful pink egg that is luminescent all around you as you're sitting in an egg of pink and golden light, as they sit in their own pink and golden light. And now you take your whole golden pink light egg with you over to the new earth as you bask on the sand, looking out at the dolphins jumping and playing and swimming. That is healed, and you are healed. And you are now plugged in to the fifth dimension of the new earth. And whenever you find yourself tuning into the collective of the old, see where you are still attached, sever it, and keep going back to the sand and getting into the golden egg and the beautiful pink light, and becoming more and more attached, more familiar, and more acquainted with the new earth. It is that we are blessing each and every one of you. Archangel Michael will remain with you, and you may cut and sever any old ties to any old belief, any old person, any old relationship, any old idea, any old thought form that is still based in the old earth. And as you continue to do this, you will feel more and more grounded and more connected to the fifth dimension, until one day, very soon, the old way of being will be a very distant memory, as you'll begin to operate, live, dwell, move, and be in the new earth. With that, I send you many blessings, much love, and good day.
Good day.
Aww.